Welcome to the final video in this series guiding your completion of the first assignment for REES 1170. This video will guide you through completing the assessment by demonstrating the use of the assignment template. So, let's begin by opening it up. You will notice the template is very colorful. This is to help you. The red text is where you need to write. The purple text is additional instructions. The black text you can leave as is, or you can try to reword to make more concise if you need to. You can begin to work on this document from week 1 if you want to. Be sure to save a copy in an appropriate location for you to work on throughout the term. As you complete the document, feel free to remove instructions and to ensure that your entered text is in black. This will also help you keep track of your progress. After adding your tutor name and student number, the first section for you to complete is the research question. Whilst you all have the same topic, student perceptions of AI and work, you will all approach this topic differently, with different interests. What about this topic were you trying to find out? What answers do your interview questions and thematic analysis provide? Here, my research question focused on graduate skills. What is your research question? For example, did you focus on feelings or perhaps a specific industry, or perhaps you focused in on threats rather than opportunities? Pause and think about this now. Your findings section should answer your research question. Next, we want to know more about the student you interviewed, for example, what industry they want to go into. If you did not explore this, what other quality of the student can you report on? Do they represent a certain group? Or perhaps they know lots or very little about AI. Finally, for the introduction, we need to summarize our findings. This means we have to report on our themes, but do so in a concise yet informative way. Using my example thematic analysis from videos 2 and 3, this is how I would summarize my key findings. There. That's the first section of your assignment completed. Next, we begin describing and critiquing the method. Each of these sections relates to a week of our learning. So the first bullet point on interpretivism, we covered that in week 1. Therefore, in order to complete this section you may wish to revisit the lecture materials, briefing sheet and readings. For the next bullet point, qualitative research, revisit the materials from week 2. For each bullet point you want to describe or define the key term. So here, what is interpretivism? Then give some strengths and limitations associated with that approach. To get the best marks, relate these to your study rather than talking about them generically. You will need to include academic references to support your work. You absolutely should begin by referencing the key text, but don't feel you are limited to just the recommended readings. However, make sure you are not referencing random websites. Use good quality academic sources only. Contact the library if you need support with this, as they regularly run sessions about how to locate and reference high-quality academic sources. Now I do the same for the next bullet point. I will explain what qualitative research is, and its strengths and limitations, using the literature to support my points. Note here that I am being better at applying my critique of the method to the study that I am writing about compared to when I spoke about interpretivism. I do this in 2 ways. Firstly, out of the many possible strengths and limitations, I will choose the one more relevant to this research on students and AI. Secondly, I will signpost that I am applying the critique by including the phrase, of this study. You should aim for this applied critique in your assignment. Can you think now of how I might have been able to make my critique of interpretivism more relevant to the study? Remember, the word critique is not the same as criticism. A critique is about strengths as well as weaknesses, and how you apply your knowledge to a specific case or instance. Now we will need to do the same for the sampling method. We covered this in week 3. Make sure that you answer all of the red bullet points. Do not skip them because you are unsure. Revisit the materials for week 3 and ask your tutor if still unsure. Note that you need to provide strengths and limitations for both whether the sample is probability or non-probability and for the recruitment method used. Again, make sure you relate this to your study and do not just talk about them generally in an abstract way. I will now do the same for our research method, the semi-structured interview. As with the previous section, make sure you answer each bullet point, providing an applied critique where it is suggested. You will need to include your interview schedule that you made in week 4 in the appendix. Note that these planned questions may not match those in the interview transcript. You may have asked more questions, less questions, or have worded them differently in practice. This is fine. In fact, it is a strength of the semi-structured approach and a sign of a good interview that you adapt your questions in the actual interview to delve deeper into your participants' responses. Now we do the same for the method of data analysis, explaining what thematic analysis is and why it was best for our study. We will need to include lots of evidence of that analysis in the appendix. If you used Word as in the previous video guides, then include screenshots of the coded transcript with the comment windows, and copy and paste your thematic analysis. If you did it on pen and paper, then take a photo or scan to demonstrate your analysis. It is absolutely critical that you provide convincing evidence that you conducted a data analysis to demonstrate the 4th learning objective of this module. Now we come to our findings section. Please refer to the PDF guide on the Peel method for guidance on this. This section is where we report the results of our thematic analysis. Coding your transcript and putting those codes into themes was covered in the previous video guides. Here you can see me work on presenting my findings using the Peel method in action. I will demonstrate presenting one finding, but you should think about presenting 2. So, firstly we present our point, that is the theme or the finding. Then we present evidence for this, the quote. Then we explain how the quote is related to our finding, that is how and why is it evidence for the point we are making. I then link my finding to the academic literature, just as Mandeep has said that he thinks adaptability is an important employability skill in the future. I have found a study where HR managers said the same thing. Guidance on how to find relevant academic literature is included on the PDF on how to write up your findings. Note that for each finding I repeat evidence and explanation in Peel repeatedly. That is, I present my evidence, a quote, and explain it. I then present another piece of evidence, another quote, and explain that, but all within one theme. The more evidence you present, the more convincing your findings. Remember, interview quotes do not count towards the word count. Next we tidy it up, removing all of the Peel markers we may have used and bringing all the bits together in one coherent paragraph. Whatever assignment or work you do, you should make sure that the font style and size is consistent so that the work looks professional. Finally, we want to make the quotes, our evidence, distinct from the rest of the text. We do this by putting the quotes in italics. Longer quotes should be presented separated from the paragraph by indents as shown. Now on to the final part of the assignment, the conclusion. This has 3 essential elements. Firstly, you need to summarize your findings in one sentence. This is the first bullet point and demonstrates your ability to make evidence-based conclusions. What did you find out? Secondly, you need to make a link to the academic literature. You can make the link by linking your findings to the findings in an academic paper, or you can make the link by linking your recommendations to an academic paper. Thirdly, you need to make a recommendation. Based on your findings, what should happen? Who needs to do this? Now you've finished the conclusion. But, You're not quite finished yet. There are 2 more important sections. Missing these will make you lose a significant number of marks. Firstly, you need your properly formatted reference list. This should match the in-text citations and only use good quality academic sources. Secondly, you need the 2 appendices to evidence your data collection and analysis. Do not skip these. Thank you for watching. Please make use of the Q&A forum on Moodle if you have any questions.